I found one of the advantages when I stopped thinking about drawings being created with lines and switched to thinking of them being created with marks, of which lines was simply one of many choices, I found that my edges improved in terms of their realism, in terms of the effect they created tremendously, because suddenly it actually helped me to stop drawing lines as quickly, as hastily, as comprehensively all over the paper as I did, and to start to put marks on the paper, both to create the effects that I wanted in the finished drawing, but also to just help me navigate certain areas of the painting where there were more complex edges to be brought up against each other so that I could do them. Now, I've had this photo reference for a while. I discovered it walking behind a street in a New South Wales country town. And I like the layering of different visual effects, the old weathered timber fence, the grass in the front, the roofing, the various tree elements that we have, and the old house further away with the old weathered roofing materials. And one of the challenges of this is to create the effect, the weathered, in part slightly ramshackle effect of the edges, of the objects, of the condition that they're in. So I thought, therefore, this would be a great subject to practice my edges with, because while there are some lines that are better drawn with lines, particularly the roofing elements in the front, which are new and do have a nice sharp presentation in the reference. So lines are very good with that. But imagine if for the fencing, any part of it, the top edge or the bottom edge, I gave into the temptation and simply drew a straight line in first blocking out where I was going to do it. That would give me, in effect, a clean, sharp edge to the top and the bottom of the fence that simply is nowhere near the effect that is in the reference. And having drawn those lines in place, I now can't do anything that would soften their impact because they're always going to show. So this is what I mean when I talk about going cautiously, using marks to indicate where not necessarily lines but edges might be, and then working out the best marks to capture the effect of the edges. Now you'll notice with this fencing I've just done, when I did the top element of that, I didn't try and draw it precisely, a diamond point on each of the palings. I just drew a slanted line on one side only and didn't even bother to line those lines up with the actual palings because I'm going visually for the effect. I want to create the effect at a glance, not get bogged down in drawing it exactly, which would give it a precision that would also look out of place in the finished drawing. And it's the same with the top of the right-hand side of the fence. While these are cut smooth, the effect of all these individual palings with a horizontal cut being butted together and warping as well has meant that there is distinction between each paling. So I want to create that feel with the marks that I've done, and I've done that with a range of marks. One thing that I haven't done yet in my drawing is on the top of that right-hand paling fence is to actually allow some width, because we do look down slightly onto the top of that, and so there is some width. And if we're not careful, when we do the shadow behind it, when we come down with that shadow, if we come down to the line that we've already drawn, in effect, we make this fence no depth, that it's only 2 dimensions. Only height and width, but no depth. So it's being careful to preserve the width lines, or the width area is also important. I just find generally the more I think marks and effects, the more I'm able to strategize as I draw to leave some things for the appropriate time when I have enough information to draw them accurately, and when I can then draw other things around them or even on top of them. preserving space, being careful with edges is also very, well, it's always important with the edges of trees, of plants. But if we look at these shrubs, large bushes, small trees that I'm drawing over the fence on the right-hand side, it's even more important here, particularly where they overlap the building, visually overlap the building. In fact, they're not anywhere near the building in reality. Here I am now doing this hatching and just trying to get it so that it doesn't remove a sense of width from the fence. And if you're finding this topic, this video, this channel helpful, please hit the like button for me and leave me a comment. And maybe check out my shorts playlist, where I have a new playlist in my shorts section on drawing tips. There's, I think, 14 of them posted already, and I've got several more to post. So a great place of summary for a lot of the principles I teach, and just 15 to 30 seconds each. So I want to create the effect of the corrugated iron, because to leave it blank would just create too much hard smoothness that isn't in the reference. Even though it is new, by the looks of it, new corrugated iron, unlike the iron sheeting on the roof of the building behind this palm tree that I'm drawing at the moment. With the palm tree, again, edges, really important. I'm not trying to draw the fronds, I'm trying to look at the fronds in the reference and just see, where are the patches of light and dark? Where are there pointy bits? Where are there not pointy bits? And what's the overall feel, the overall value, the overall scale? You may not have noticed, but I actually did a dotted line around the approximate perimeter of that palm tree before I blocked in the house outline behind it, because I didn't want to bring that right-hand diagonal of the two-story house crossing into the palm tree area. Again, it's learning to think in a way that we strategize ahead of where we're actually drawing. We go slow when we need to. So now I'm adding a few marks to indicate the staining on the timber. I didn't want to overdo it. I didn't do it to the degree that it's on the reference fence, but I still wanted to introduce some additional elements of texture and effect. And I'm just realizing I should have hatched that entire left-hand fence, that it's actually got shade on it, and then it casts a slight shadow onto the grass, and I missed that when I was drawing this. But I've moved on to the corrugated iron sheeting. Again, the edges of where the sheeting are, you'll notice that at the end of the drawing, won't see a line across there where the two rows of sheeting join, but really a series of dots that indicate shadows being cast and where some rusting starts and rolls down the sheeting. Again, if I'd done a quick straight line there to indicate the joint right across, I'd have created the effect of a different substance, of a different material. And I'd have also lost the sense of aging that rippling some shadows can give with corrugated iron. And now I come to very much the foliage. I've finished most of the architecture. And now we have all these different types of leaves, and I want to indicate the fact that this isn't one big amorphous foliage bush, that there are several different bushes with different types of leaves, of profiles that catch the light, that hang their branches and their leaves differently. And so while I haven't, again, wanted to do so much detail to unhelpfully draw attention to this, I do want there to be the sense that this is a cluster of plants growing in profusion, somewhat neglected, close together. Now, I've drawn the front portion of this with a 0.2, with a 0.3 millimeter pen, and I'm using a 0.2 millimeter pen to draw some of the furthest parts, including these trees in the distance. And while I draw the one to the left of the brick house, a little bit too large, I think it's a helpful addition to the composition. And now there are some branches, some winter branches poking up on the far side. In Australia, it's nice to have some bare branches in winter. I think very few of our native trees drop their branches, drop their leaves in autumn. But these older towns have a lot of European tree plantings. And they're now enormous trees. So working on the foliage, again on edges, I'm not thinking of edges. I'm thinking of creating value that attracts the light and dark in certain ways. And so I'm trying to vary my lines to also create the varied effects of the foliage. And again, you'll notice with the footpath where the grass is, I resisted the urge to draw a straight line. It would have created a very smooth, hard edge, which even if this had been a neatly trimmed pathway, wouldn't have reflected the reality of a grass-edged pathway. So again, it's reserving the space, the linear space with some dots, and then coming across, hopefully at the right angle, with some marks to just capture the effect of grass, and also trying to not have the marks the same all the way along, to have them a bit larger and in more detail, closer to the viewer at the front, and becoming less obvious as they move further away. If you look at the grass at the bottom of the fencing, you'll see what I mean, where the closest grass is in more detail and it's larger, and then it moves along. Now, you're watching this at 3 times normal speed. If you'd like to see it slower, you can use the cog icon to slow it down to half speed, or even a quarter speed if you want to actually watch it slower than I drew it for some reason. Please hit the like button if you haven't already. That really helps me out. And now, again, it's all about the edges. Look at the different edges that I've created for the different plants, the different foliage, whether they're shrubs, grass, or very large trees, whether they have leaves on them or whether they're bare branches. Edges are so important, and sometimes there is no shortcut to creating an effective visual edge, and we need to spend a bit of time. It can be tempting just to do a quick line, but almost invariably it creates something that looks more two-dimensional, more too cartoon-like than what we really want. And it's done. What do you think? I'll post this reference on my channel community page if you'd like to have a go drawing this yourself and practice your edges and your ability to preserve space to keep your edges the way you want them to be. G'day, I'm Stephen Travers. I hope you found this interesting. Edges are so important. If we stop thinking of lines and start thinking of marks, it helps us focus on edges as being more than lines enclosing shapes. They're a visual element of our scene for us to manipulate and capture. But look, whatever you draw, edges or not, however you draw them, make sure you have fun. I'll see you next time. Bye.